My name is Marlo, and I am 28 years old. The story I am about to share happened 3 years ago. Back then, my life felt complete. I had a good job and wonderful friends. I was not rich, but I was happy. One afternoon, I walked into a small repair shop. My phone was broken and I needed someone to fix it. That is where I met Callum. He worked there, fixing laptops and phones. He smiled at me warmly and asked how my day was going. I said it was fine. While he worked on my phone, we talked. His voice was gentle, and something about it made me feel comfortable. Before I left, he gave me his phone number. He said I could call him if I ever needed help again. That same evening, I called him. From that day on, Callum and I talked every single day. He asked about my life, and I asked about his. We discovered we had many things in common. After 2 weeks, we decided to take a walk together. We walked for 2 hours and talked the whole time. He told me he lived alone. His parents lived in another city. I felt safe with him. My feelings for him grew stronger each day. Soon, we became a couple. He came to my home and I went to his. We watched movies together and cooked meals together. Callum had a kind heart and always made me laugh. He did not have much money, but that did not matter to me. Being with him made me truly happy. After 6 months together, he asked me to move in with him. I said yes immediately. I left my small apartment and moved into his place. It was not big, but it was clean and cozy. We shared the costs of rent and food. We made plans for the future. I believed we were building a life that would last forever. For the first few months, everything was beautiful. We took walks in the park. We cooked dinner together every evening. He told jokes that made me laugh so hard I thought I had found the person I would spend my life with. I felt so lucky. But slowly, things began to change. Callum started coming home late. He always said the same thing. He was tired from work. The smile that used to light up his face disappeared. He stopped asking about my day. His eyes were always on his phone instead of on me. I asked him what was wrong. He said nothing, but I could feel the distance between us growing. He was there, but his heart was somewhere else. One morning, I woke up feeling sick. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. At first, I thought it was something I ate, but the next day, I was sick again, and the day after that. I became worried. I went to the store and bought a pregnancy test. The result was clear. I was pregnant. I sat on the bed and cried. I was scared, but part of me also felt a small joy. I wanted to tell Callum right away. That night, I waited for him to come home. When he walked through the door, I said we needed to talk. He looked tired. I looked into his eyes and said the words, "I am going to have a baby." He stared at me. He did not speak. He sat down in a chair and put his face in his hands. I waited. After a long silence, he finally spoke. He asked if I was sure. I said yes. He stood up and walked around the room. Then he said the words that broke my heart. He could not do this. I told him we could raise the baby together. We could make it work. But he shook his head. He said he was not ready. He never wanted this. My heart stopped. I asked him if he truly did not want this child. He looked at me and said, He did not want this life. He needed time to think. He grabbed his jacket and walked out. I stayed awake all night waiting. He did not come back. I called him many times. He did not answer. I sent him many messages. 5 days later, he finally replied. His message said only this: "I am sorry. This is not the life I want." Then he blocked my number. He was gone. I cried every day. I could not eat. I could not sleep. I placed my hand on my stomach and whispered to my baby. I told the baby I was there. I promised I would take care of it. I did not tell my parents or my friends. I felt ashamed. I was afraid they would judge me. I was completely alone. But I knew I had to be strong. I had to eat and sleep and work for my baby. I started taking care of myself again. I found a small room to rent. It had only a bed and a tiny kitchen. I moved in and started my life over. I went to the doctor alone. The first time I heard my baby's heartbeat, tears filled my eyes. I saw the small shape on the screen and smiled. I promised my baby I would never leave. I worked every single day. Even when I came home exhausted, I did not stop. I saved money. I bought baby clothes. I read books about pregnancy and babies. I stayed strong even when I wanted to fall apart. Some people on the street looked at me with pity. Others looked at me with judgment. But I kept my head high. This baby was mine, and I would never give up. As the months passed, my belly grew bigger. My back ached. My legs felt heavy, but I kept working. I did not have a car, so I walked to work every day. Some days the rain soaked through my clothes. Some days I was too tired to stand. But I pushed forward. I still thought about Callum sometimes. I wondered if he missed me. I wondered if he thought about the baby. But he never came back. He never called. He never sent money. He chose to leave us. That was his choice. Now I had to make mine. One night, a sharp pain hit me. I knew the time had come. I took a taxi to the hospital. A nurse helped me to a bed. The pain was strong. I cried out and held the bed tightly. After many hours, I heard a baby cry. It was a boy. The nurse placed him in my arms. He was so small and warm. I held him close and looked at his tiny face. I whispered hello. I named him Ezrin. I kissed his soft cheek and told him he was safe now. I promised him I would never leave his side. I was tired, but my heart was full of love. In that moment, all the pain and sadness of the past melted away. All I could see was Ezrin. He was my son. He was my family. I was not alone anymore. I was a mother. I knew I would do anything for him. The first days after Ezrin was born were not easy. I was exhausted. I barely slept. Ezrin cried through the night. I woke up many times to feed him, but I did not complain. I loved him so much. My job was to care for him and be strong for him. The hospital gave me medicine for the pain, but it did not help much. My body and mind were tired, but every time I looked at Ezrin, I felt peace. I promised to give him the best life I could. After 3 days, we went home to my small room. There was not much space, but I made it work. I placed him in a small crib. I organized his tiny clothes and toys. I worked hard to make that small room feel like a real home, a place where he would feel safe and loved. Money was very tight at first. I had rent to pay and food to buy. I did not have a job yet. I was not sure how I would pay for everything, but I refused to ask Callum for help. He left us. I wanted nothing from him. I began looking for work. I searched online and asked friends for help. It was hard. Many jobs paid very little. I needed a job that could support both me and Ezrin. I wanted him to have a good life. Finally, I found a job at a small store nearby. It was not a fancy job, but it was enough. The store was close to my home. I worked in the afternoons and evenings, selling food and drinks. It was hard at first, but I felt proud. Every hour I worked was for Ezrin. I would finish my shift and hurry home to take care of him. Even when I was tired, I never complained. My love for Ezrin made me want to give him my best. As the months passed, I began to feel like myself again. Ezrin was growing fast. He started smiling more, then laughing, then crawling. I felt so proud watching him. I could not believe he was mine. Sometimes I took him to the park in his stroller. He loved watching the trees and the people. The sound of his laughter made every struggle worth it. I still thought about Callum sometimes. I wondered about his life. But I stopped asking those questions. I could not waste my energy on him. He made his choice. I made mine. I had Ezrin. That was all that mattered. Then, one day, Callum called me. Hearing his voice was a shock. I did not want to talk to him, but I answered anyway. He said he had been thinking about me and Ezrin. I asked him what he wanted. He said he was sorry. He made a huge mistake. He wanted to be part of Ezrin's life. Anger rose inside me. I told him he left us. He did not care about us when we needed him most. And now he wanted to come back? He said he was wrong. He wanted to help and be a father. I was silent for a moment. I thought about all the pain he caused. But I realized I did not want to carry that anger anymore. I had a good life. I had a beautiful son. I did not need Callum to complete our world. I told him no. I was not asking him to come back. Ezrin was doing perfectly fine without him. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said he understood. He would be there if I ever needed anything. I did not say another word. I ended the call. I looked at Ezrin sleeping peacefully in his crib. I smiled. I knew I made the right choice. I did not need Callum. I had everything I needed with Ezrin. The next months brought more stability. I worked hard and saved money. I bought Ezrin new clothes. I found a good daycare where he could stay while I worked. I made sure he was safe and happy. Money was still tight, but it did not bother me. I was a mother. I was strong. I was enough for my son. On Ezrin's first birthday, we sat in the park. I watched him play with a small toy and felt a wave of pride. I thought about our journey together. I remembered how scared I was when I learned I was pregnant. But there I was, raising my son on my own through hard work and love. Seeing him happy made me realize that the past did not matter. Callum leaving did not matter. What mattered was that I was Ezrin's mother. By the time Ezrin turned 2, He was walking and talking. He loved playing with balls and toy cars. He said simple words like mama and thank you. Watching him grow gave me strength. His smile was my energy. I worked at the store 5 days a week. It was tiring, but it paid the rent and kept us fed. Some days I was exhausted, but when I walked through the door and Ezrin ran to hug me, calling out, "Mama!" everything felt right again. One evening, while we played with blocks on the floor, Ezrin looked at me and asked where Papa was. I froze for a second. I looked at his innocent face and told him Papa was not here, but Mama was. I would always be right there with him. He smiled and said, "Okay, Mama," then went back to his blocks. My heart felt heavy, but I stayed calm. I knew the question would come again someday. Weeks turned into months. Work, home, Ezrin, sleep. Some days were easier than others. One day I got sick at work with a fever and headache. I went home early, but the work of being a mother did not stop. I still had to cook, clean, and care for Ezrin. That night, I cried quietly in bed while he slept. I whispered that I was sorry I could not give him more. I promised again I would never leave. A few days later, good news came. My manager praised my hard work and gave me more hours and a small raise. It was not a fortune, but it meant a new jacket for Ezrin and better food for our table. I started a small savings box at home. I added a little bit every month. I told myself that one day we would move to a nicer home. One day Ezrin would go to a great school. That hope kept me going. One sunny Sunday, I took Ezrin to the park. A woman named Ren sat down next to me. We started talking while our children played. Ren was a single mother too, raising her daughter Elowen. She told me she was alone a few years ago. I felt an instant connection. She understood the struggle of moving forward for a child. We began meeting often. I shared my full story with her. She did not judge me. She told me I was strong. Having a friend who understood meant everything to me. By the time Ezrin turned 3, he started school. He made friends and learned songs. He brought home drawings that I put on the wall with pride. Those drawings showed how far we had come, from sadness and pain to a life filled with light and hope. One day, I saw Callum at the grocery store. He looked older and nervous. He asked how I was. I said I was fine. He asked about Ezrin. I told him Ezrin was happy, strong, and kind. Callum looked down and said he was sorry again. I felt strangely calm. I told him he missed everything. The first words, the first steps, the laughter. He missed it all. He asked if Ezrin would ever want to see him. I said maybe one day, but not now. Ezrin did not even know who he was. Callum nodded. He gave me a piece of paper with his number and walked away. When I got home, I watched Ezrin playing with his blocks. He asked me to come play. I sat down with him and said I was right there. Later that night, I looked at the paper with Callum's number. I did not hesitate. I tore it into tiny pieces and threw it away. Ezrin and I were doing just fine on our own. We had each other, and that was more than enough. Thanks for listening to my story. If you liked it, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment, and tell me where you're listening from.